In my last video, I asked the question, what if the Senzu beans went extinct before Dragon Ball Z? And so far, a lot has changed. From the death of the Saiyan Prince Vegeta to the 3 wishes that Frieza was able to attain on Namek, and of course the absence of the Super Saiyan transformations, these events have already taken a turn for the worse, and all because of 2 beans. When we were with our heroes last, they discovered the horrifying events that took place on planet Namek whilst they were recovering, and due to Frieza destroying that world, our heroes have no choice but to look elsewhere if they want to revive their fallen friends. So let's see what these changes do to the story. When we last left off, King Kai promised to Krillin and the others that he'd search the universe in hopes of finding a Namekian who could have escaped before Frieza's arrival. In his mind, it was a hopeless endeavor, but if there was a sliver of a chance, then he had to take it. And so for the next couple of months, King Kai would continue his search. Back on Earth with our heroes, Goku would have been given the bad news, and the warrior thinks to himself that this wouldn't have happened if they had been on planet Namek. Little does Goku know, the absence of Vegeta on planet Namek would have drastically made things worse if they actually did go, but that's a story for another time. The Saiyan would think back to over 5 years ago after his fight with King Piccolo and his fight with Piccolo Jr. He was given these magical beans that healed his injuries. If only they had those. A few months would pass and Goku fully recovers from his injuries. When the warrior finally returns home, he is contacted by King Kai. The Kaio informs Goku and the others that he has found another living Namekian on a planet called Cereal. A Namekian by the name of Monaito resides there, as well as a pair of Dragon Balls. Now, before the Granola arc, we obviously didn't know if there was a 4th set of Wish Orbs, but seeing as we do now, then I do believe that after the destruction of planet Namek, King Kai would have found these. It would take some time, of course, seeing as he would have to search through the entire universe, but I do believe that he would have found something if he had looked. Once our heroes hear about this, they'd be exhilarated and the fire of hope would burn bright once again. Goku, Gohan, Bulma, and Krillin make preparations to travel to planet Cereal, and this time they'd be taking the ship that Goku took to planet Namek, gravity room and all. They'd all board and make their way to the planet, and for the next 18 days they would have trained. However, they wouldn't have pushed themselves extremely hard, seeing as they don't have a quick fix if they get injured. Oh, and for those who are wondering about Gohan's tail, well, I do believe that Gohan would have decided to keep it, believing that there could come a time where it could come in handy. Seeing how strong it made Vegeta, it could possibly do the same for him. When our heroes arrive on planet Cereal, they land on the outskirts of the main city. Goku, Gohan, Bulma, and Krillin prepare to search the planet. When Bulma takes a look at the radar, she notes that there are only 2 Dragon Balls appearing at the moment. She presses the button on top of the radar, trying to see if there are any more, but to her surprise, it seems as if no matter how much she clicks it, the radar doesn't want to pick up on any other readings. She thinks this is strange, however she ignores it for now. Our heroes make their way to the first reading and discover the 2-star Dragon Ball deep within the mountains. And they make note that the Cerealian Dragon Balls are a lot smaller than the ones on Earth. After this, they turn their attention to the second one and quickly make their way there. As they fly over to the next Dragon Ball, a ship can be seen in the distance re-entering the planet's atmosphere as the sun began to set. Granola lands his ship and exits, visibly upset. Damn, still no work, even after 4 months, and it's all because of him. After coming back from another unsuccessful day, Granola makes his way towards his home. Just like in the original series, the Heaters stopped assigning missions due to the presence of Frieza becoming a problem. Seeing as he's alive and well and now stronger than ever, this happens here, and as a result, Granola can't find work. Back over with our heroes, Goku, Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma land in front of a house atop a mountain looking over the city. Krillin goes to knock on the door, however there's no answer, and after some time Bulma looks through the window and notices the 1-star ball on what seems to be a shrine. She'd eventually suggest the idea to find a way to get in to get the ball. However, Gohan disagrees with the idea of breaking into someone's house, and not wanting to be a bad influence, Bulma agrees. And after a while of waiting, Bulma starts to become impatient and without saying anything heads towards the house trying to look for a way in. Gohan and the others try to stop her, saying that they should wait for the owner of the house to come back. She ignores them and starts to tinker with the front door's lock. And as she does this, rustling can be heard from the bushes nearby. Goku, Gohan, and Krillin fall silent as they avert their attention towards the forest. Gohan takes a step forward trying to investigate, and before he could take another step, a beam is shot at him going for his throat. Goku reacts quickly and shields his son from the attack with his back. The Saiyan turns towards the bushes, visibly upset and still reeling from the attack. A man with green hair and, from what they can tell, blue eyes, donning a strange device on his right eye, emerges from the bushes. Granola's hands are aimed at Goku with a ki blast already charging. "Who are you and why are you here?" Granola asks Bulma cuts the tension and informs Granola that they are here for the Dragon Balls. She then shows him the 2-star ball that they found in the mountain, saying that there's another one in the house and asks if he lives here. Get lost, Granola responds, and Gohan takes a step forward and tries to tell the Cerealian that they don't have any nefarious intentions, and that they've come in peace just trying to revive their friends. Before Gohan can finish what he had to say, Granola finally notices the tail wrapped around Gohan's waist. His eyes widen and for a moment he spaces out as the memories of the Saiyan invasion that killed his entire race flood in. He becomes visibly uneasy, and before Gohan can finish what he's saying, Granola shouts out, "Enough. You expect me to believe that a Saiyan would know anything about peace? Ridiculous. You are all the same. Monsters." Goku takes over, informing Granola that he and his son are not like the Saiyans that he's talking about, letting him know that they're from a planet called Earth. Goku's attempt to defuse the situation is cut short when a beam is fired at him. Goku barely dodges the attack. "Enough of your excuses," Granola says, and the Cerealian rushes in attacking Goku. Now the question is, how strong would Granola be here? Well, I'd say that he'd be stronger than the Ginyu Force, but weaker than First Form Frieza. If you want to know how I came to this conclusion, I'll leave it in the description below. As for Goku, he'd be stronger than he was when he first arrived on Namek, due to having more time to train on their way here. Back to the fight, Goku blocks Granola's first hit and tells the others to get behind him. They do, and a fight ensues between the Saiyan and the Cerealian. They both throw powerful blows back and forth, and each attack is met with a block, dodge, or counter. They'd match each other's speed as they zipped and teleported all throughout the battlefield, trading blows. They'd seemingly be dead even, and as the fight continued, Granola through sheer determination eventually lands an attack on one of Goku's vital points. This devastating blow sends the Saiyan flying back, and not wasting any time, Granola goes in again, trading blows with the Saiyan, and he periodically land attacks on Goku's vital points, severely injuring the Saiyan. And after a while of this back and forth, Granola lands a deadly strike on Goku and he stumbles back coughing up blood, trying to recover. Whilst he does this, Granola raises his hands and takes aim. He begins to charge up an extremely powerful sniper shot, saying, "It's over, Saiyan." Now being backed into a corner, Goku says, "I didn't want to use this if I didn't have to, but seeing how things are going, I guess I have no choice." And with that, hellish red flames envelop the Saiyan warrior as he utters the words Kaioken, and he closes the distance between himself and Granola. The Cerealian unleashes his attack only for it to be deflected by Goku, and once Goku makes contact, this fight becomes very one-sided as Goku with the use of the Kaioken overwhelms Granola. Each and every attack that the Saiyan lands does a tremendous amount of damage, and eventually Granola falls to his knees due to the amount of damage he had sustained. Goku lands in front of him and extends his hand out, trying to reason with the Cerealian. And whilst this is happening, Oatmeal tries to convince Granola into surrendering due to him believing what Goku was saying was true. However, the more they talked, the more irritated Granola became. He hangs his head down and with hatred in his voice says, "I'd rather die than trust a Saiyan." The ground below Goku and Granola begins to tremble, and when the Cerealian raises his head, Goku takes note that his once blue eye was now red, and a fierce surge of ki lashes out from Granola as his power explodes. This catches Goku off guard, and Granola uses this time to his advantage and rushes in and begins to throw a flurry of attacks at Goku. Goku tries to keep up by upping his Kaioken to ×10, and for a time he did. However, his body would begin to fatigue due to the injuries that he received earlier in the battle, and as the fight continued, Granola slowly but surely breaks through Goku's defenses and struck him in a vital spot located in his abdominal area, similar to what he did to Vegeta in canon. Goku, after everything he had endured, finally collapses. Gohan sees this and calls out for his father and begins to make his way onto the battlefield. The Cerealian takes aim at Gohan and tells him not to move. When this happens, Krillin rushes in and solar flares Granola, blinding him. He then grabs Goku and quickly brings him to Gohan. Krillin tells Gohan and Bulma that they need to get out of here. He'd say this because at the rate that they're going now, they'd all be killed and it would be better to cut their losses here and live to see another day. Krillin runs back towards Granola, telling them that they have to go and that he'll try to distract Granola long enough so that they can escape. Gohan and Bulma hesitate for a moment before Krillin yells at them to get moving. Whilst this is happening, Granola would have been firing recklessly in all directions trying to land anything on our heroes. If you remember, at this point in time, Granola didn't have any abilities granted by the dragon when he wished to be the strongest. This includes ki signature detection. When Krillin sees this, this clues him in on the fact that Granola can't sense ki, and he begins to formulate a plan on how he can distract the Cerealian. In the meantime, Gohan takes both his father and Bulma away from battlefield. And once he's gone, Krillin closes the distance between himself and Granolah, and when the Cerealian finally begins to open his eyes and regain his sight, he is met with another solar flare to the face. Krillin then retreats into the forest, trying to stay out of Granolah's way. Granolah curses and thrashes around until his vision returned. He demands Oatmeal to tell him where the Saiyans went, and Oatmeal reluctantly informs him on the direction that Gohan and the others took off in. Before he takes off after them, he would hear a rustling from the bushes. He takes aim and notices that someone was hiding. The Cerealian fires off a blast that eviscerates the bush, revealing Krillin's unconscious body. He then makes his way in the direction of our heroes when he noticed leaves falling from the trees above, and to his surprise, Krillin would appear from the trees with a fully charged Destructo Disc, and he'd throw the attack with everything he had, aiming at Granolah's midsection. Granolah would panic, realizing that whatever he took out in the bushes was just a decoy. He would dodge the fatal blow, but he doesn't come out unscathed, as the disc would cleave straight through Granolah's lower right arm. He cries out in pain, but he aims a blast straight towards Krillin and fires a quick attack that connects. Krillin falls injured, and Granolah makes his way to him, looking to finish him off. Once Gohan senses Krillin's key drop, he decides to leave his father and Bulma somewhere safe and make his way back to help Krillin. When he arrives, he sees Granolah charging up a finishing blow, and with great haste, Gohan tackles the Cerealian, saving Krillin's life. Frustrated with everything he had been through, Granolah attacks Gohan and beats him within an inch of his life. Gohan lays on his back too injured to move, and as Granolah makes his way to finish off the young Saiyan, Gohan stared into the night sky and the full moon stared back. His body starts to convulse as he begins to transform. Granolah stood in horror as he watched Gohan become covered in fur and began to grow in size. Granolah in retaliation began to snipe Gohan's vitals in an attempt to finish Gohan off before the transformation was complete. However, it wouldn't have been enough to stop him, and after a few seconds, Great Ape Gohan stood before Granolah. The Cerealian tries his best to subdue the ape, dodging his wild attacks and landing blasts on Gohan over and over, starting to actually do some damage. However, with one swing of his arm, Gohan strikes Granolah, injuring him severely. He then pick him up and begin to crush the Cerealian. Granolah yells out in pain, coughs up blood, and yells out, "Oatmeal, do it! Do it now!" And in the distance, a ship can be seen coming in with blinding speeds. Granolah gets his one good arm free from the grip of the Great Ape and fires a shot at his eye. Gohan releases the Cerealian and reels back in pain, and he tries to fire off a mouth blast, but the moment he opens up his mouth, Granolah's ship collides into the Great Ape with destructive force and knocks Gohan out. The battlefield falls silent as Granolah laid on the floor, breathing heavily. He'd eventually try to get up, and once he does, he sees Monito rushing towards him. Monito yells towards Granolah, asking him what happened, and he'd explain the situation as quickly as he could and take aim at the Great Ape. Krillin emerges from behind Gohan and stands in front of Granolah. He tries to defend Gohan and begs for him to stop. Once Monito arrives, he'd stop Granolah and hears what Krillin has to say. And after he does, Monito finally decides to tell Granolah about Bardock and how all Saiyans aren't evil. Once Granolah hears this, he stops in disbelief and storms off upset, trying to process this information. Once he leaves, Monito talks to Krillin and he learned about what happened to the Earthlings during their fight against Nappa and Vegeta. And after that, Monito heals Krillin up to the best of his abilities. He then retrieve Goku and Bulma and bring them back for the Dragon Balls, as well as getting Goku healed up. Once that happens, they'd wait for Gohan to revert back to his base form before healing him. And when he does, they'd eventually make their wish, thank Monito, and take their leave. Once they're back on Earth, they'd celebrate by throwing a party, and for a time, things would go back to normal. And on a seemingly ordinary day, Goku wakes up and prepares for the busy day of training ahead, when a knock can be heard at the front door. And when he opens it, a young man with bluish purple hair stood before him. This puts an end to this part. Now, tell me, what are your thoughts on this what if so far? What I got right, what I got wrong, so on and so forth. But yeah, with that being said, thank you to everyone that watched this video. I hope you have a good day. Peace, peace. Deuce, deuce.